Okay, so today is the 18th. So we have 2/18/2014, and we're going to look at how to identify an outlier in a set of data. Most of us know an outlier is a piece of data that sort of offsets the data, kind of skews it because of one particular number. It's called an outlier because it's outside of the data, outside the norm of numbers, so outlier. So in order to find the outlier, first of all, we have to kind of go with our five-piece summary or our box and whisker quartiles. So we're going to look at this set of data, and we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 pieces of data. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So I believe the seventh number should be the middle. So let's check. We have 3 on this side and 3 on this side. So this is the median, right? Middle number. We can also call it Q2. Okay. So then remember the 5-point summary. We also have to find the lower quartile and upper quartile. So lower quartile is the center of the lower half, or the middle of the lower half, which is here, which would be 6. So this is called your Q1, or we've also called it the lower quartile. And then we want to find the upper quartile, which is the median of the upper half, which would be right here. It's in between 12 and 14. So remember, we find the average by adding them and dividing by 2. And so that would give me 13. And that is our Q3, or our upper quartile. So we want to find out if there is an outlier on the ends of our data. So an outlier on the lower end or outlier at the upper end. So in order to do this, we have to find our IQR, our interquartile range. Okay, and so remember that is the upper quartile, or the Q3, minus the lower quartile, or the Q1. So our Q3 is 13. And our Q1, or lower quartile, is in between the 6s, so it would be 6. So we have 13 minus 6 is 7. So the IQR, the interquartile range, is 7. Remember, that's the range of your box, the lower quartile and the upper quartile. And so then to find if this right here is an outlier, the formula for finding an outlier is taking our Q1, or our lower quartile, and subtracting it from our interquartile range times 1.5. Okay, so that's to find the lower outlier. So we say if the number is 1.5 times our quartile range below the lower quartile, then that's considered an outlier. So our Q1, our lower quartile, is 6. And we subtract that from our IQR, which we determined is 7, times 1.5. Okay. So if we do the math on that, that's going to be 6 minus 10.5, which would give us a negative, what is that? A negative 3.5. So if the number is negative 3.5 or less, we have a lower quartile, or a, okay, so there's no numbers below negative 3.5, so there's no outlier below. So then we want to see, maybe this 30 is an outlier. It's kind of up there high. So to find out if the upper part is an outlier, we do the same thing, but this time we're going to take our Q3, or our upper quartile, and the number has to be 1.5 times the IQR above our upper quartile. Okay, so we have our RQR times 1.5. Okay, and then this is plus because it would have to be 1.5 times the interquartile range above the IQ3. So that's a plus. This one is a minus because it would have to be that much lower than the IQR because it's a lower outlier. So let's see, our Q3, our upper quartile, is 13, and then plus. And we already determined our interquartile range is 7, and it's still times 1.5. So we would have 13 plus, and then we already know this is 10.5. So we have an outlier if our number is 23.5 or more. Okay, so looking at our data, we have two numbers that are above 23.5. So these are considered outliers of the data, or outside our range of data. So depending on what you're doing, sometimes you take them out, sometimes you leave them in, but these are going to skew our set of data. So if we were to draw this as a box and whisker, I have my lower quartile here at 6, my upper quartile here at, 13? And then my median was at 10, so here's my box. My interquartile range was this minus this. And then we considered the outlier would have to be down here or past the 23.5. So we had two numbers that were past the 23.5. We had 28 and 30. So often in a box and whisker, we would do those outliers. We would put them with asterisks. And then we would do the box and whisker without those outliers included. Okay. So the alien says to make sure you have some good notes, make sure you know what you do with the outliers here in the box and whisker, and make sure you know how to calculate the outliers using the interquartile range and the Q1 and the Q3. And then we'll see you in the morning. Good night.